Hui has the best gear because it's tough, it's durable, it withstands the test of what we put it through, and that is why I am a big supporter of Hui brands. Guys, from hats, apparel, whatever you need, they've got you covered. They are the perfect blend of rodeo style and athletic performance. You can check them out at huibrands.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, is going to save you a little bit at checkout.
Yeah. My mic's all got salt on the
Salty
thing now.
Salty mic.
That's
It's all right.
Just don't lick your mic, all right?
Yeah. I hope he didn't land in my drink.
That he got you one last time.
Might have won the battle, but he won the war.
He won the war. For those of you who cannot see what's going on or missed that, well, I missed it because I didn't hit record soon enough, but Paul's been hunting a fly that's been taunting him for the last few minutes.
Yep.
Fly hunting.
It's dead now.
I need one of those guns. One of those salt guns.
Yeah, they're handy. They make a mess, so it's like takes a little bit more work.
Is it?
But you get a lot of flies with them, like a lot.
Sounds like a lot more fun.
It's way more fun.
Yeah,
like I'll take like 10-15 minutes and just go on. Sometimes it's longer than that, I'm sure. But fly hunting expeditions.
Serial killer.
Yeah.
You should start a guiding service.
Yeah, you can pay $500 and come shoot flies in my garage.
Lunch included.
Lunch included.
Got some Lunchables over here.
You gotta bring your own drinks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's funny.
Awesome. Why does it feel like it's been so long since we've done one of these?
Dude, I was thinking that last night, maybe.
Yeah, it hasn't been. It's the same.
No,
we're
it's
on
same
the normal schedule.
Yep.
But I don't know if we just fit so much into our days the past week that I just feel like I've done 2 weeks in one.
That's kind of the only thing I came up with. I was like almost having a full-blown panic attack last night about I was like, oh no, like I feel like I haven't moved in like a month or whatever, or this there was this undetermined time frame that I just felt this panic that I hadn't done anything in, and I looked back and I'm like, it's still April.
Isn't that something
holy crap?
Isn't that something you live with? Don't you just live with that feeling?
Well, no, but I'd have it right now.
Probably should.
I had it last night.
Probably should.
I was like, I've done a lot in April. April has been jam packed, and
May's almost here.
It was weird. It was just a weird feeling.
It is crazy. I was talking to Lacey this morning. She's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I think so. I've just never been home for this long, and I don't like my children. I need to leave. I don't know what I don't understand." I told Conley has been tying her shirts up, and I literally told her this morning, I was like, I'm going to take that rubber band off and shoot you in the eye with it. And Lacey looked at me and she was like, really? Because Lacey had already asked her she had her shirt rubber banded up to where you could see her belly. And Lacey had already told her hey, you need to loosen that off. We're not showing our belly. And then here, 5 minutes later, she comes around the corner, belly button hanging out. I'm like, I'm going to take that rubber band off, shoot you in the eye with it. Fix your shirt. She rips it out. She's like, fine, I just won't wear it, and stomps off. Lacey was like, really? Are you okay? I was like, I think so. I just don't like my kids. I've been home way too long. I need to go somewhere. So anyway, I mean, it has been nice to be able to be home and get in a routine, but holy smokes, my children, who is raising these things? You know what I'm saying? Whose kids are these? Holy smokes. They're a lot. Doug got to see this morning.
I thought they were pretty well behaved.
Yeah,
dude.
Well,
Canon says yes and not yeah.
Yeah,
that's a huge one. My grandpa, if we said yeah, we got flicked in the head.
Oh, bro,
it was a yes. You enunciate your words, and so he said yes. I was like, oh, Logan's been in that ear.
It's pretty fun, really. Flicking him in the head is pretty fun.
I started that a while ago, and I regretted it because Cannon would correct me then all the time, and I was like, ooh, like,
that
okay, oh,
backfired.
I think I crossed the line maybe or something like that. Somewhere in here there was a communication error. Like, where did I mess this up? Like, how did I go wrong? Because
It,
like, we told him, I was like, well, like, because he initially asked, like, well, why can't we say yeah? And I was like, it's just like a lazier way. Like, just pronounce your words and like, and say it right. And then I didn't realize how often I said yeah. And that's where he started saying it in the first place.
it-
And so he'd start correcting me. He'd go, "Dad, we're Lloyds. We don't say yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, crap."
oh,
I love
got
that.
him. Callan got
Love
Lacey
that.
this morning. I was talking about being a little sore from my workout yesterday, and I was like, I did Romanian deadlifts, and Lacey goes, I hate Romanian deadlifts. And Callan goes, mom, we don't say hate. We don't say hate. I was like, he got you there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, I can
It's
only
funny,
think
like
of Callan as still as a little man. It's wild
Yeah.
that he's calling his mom out now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It is. I'm
Uh,
telling you, time is absolutely
Rolling
lying.
by.
It is.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
He's
crazy.
is he 3 yet, or he's almost
Yeah.
3?
He'll be 4 in August.
Oh, dang.
So yeah, he'll
Mhm.
He's
be 4. Yep. He'll be 4 in August, and Cannon
I
just
forgot about that.
turned
Means my daughter's gonna be 4.
5.
I
Yeah. Oh
forgot
yeah.
about that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
They
Uh,
all keep getting older. I don't know what's going on
yeah.
here. But
Yeah, you
it's
hate him
good.
now, bub. You guys are
Mm.
Oh
you're in
yeah, just
for it.
wait. Yeah, no, I completely I completely agree. I completely agree.
I'm so scared for that. And for y'all, I just think about myself as a high school kid. I was actually a really good kid until I was 17. Then I was like, you know what? This was dumb. Why was I so good?
Why was I so good? I'm gonna
Go do
be
stupid
wild.
stuff.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
like being bad.
I look back at I don't know about Paul. I would assume Paul, he's pretty straight laced, but I look back at my high school days and like how quote unquote wild I got. And it was really tame. You know what
Oh
I'm saying?
yeah.
Like my dad worked nights and I lived with my dad. It was just me and my dad. So I didn't have anybody around. I could have done whatever I wanted to. You know what we chose to do? 3 or 4 nights a week, I'd have like a dozen guys over and we roped the dummy. We had a dummy set up on
Wild.
a wagon with yeah, I know, right? Like there's probably a case of beer there of which I very rarely drank any. I maybe smoked weed one time, but that was how we spent our nights. We were literally just like roping the dummy till 1 a.m. And I look back now and I'm like, I thought I was being an outlaw, you know? I look back now, I'm like, how, oh my gosh, this is like a regular Tuesday night for most people, probably just roping the dummy till 1 a.m. But anyway, yeah.
No, that's fun
So
though.
hopefully
Those are
my
good.
kids are as much
Yeah.
outlaws as I was in high school. That's what I'm going for. If they want to stay up till 1 roping the dummy,
Go for it.
yeah, that'll probably be okay.
Yeah, that would probably be okay. Is right. Oh man. What else is new with man? Nothing here is new. I wish Montana. I love it here so much, but it's been so finicky on the weather. I've been out in shorts
Mm,
and a t-shirt last week, and this week high is 42.
Mm.
So
perfect.
I'm just starving for getting outside and doing springtime things, but the weather has different plans. Unless you want to put a jacket or something on, but I haven't felt like that, so I've just been hanging out on the inside. And my garage,
On
thank
the
God I have the
inside.
gym built now. Don't even have to leave the house to go work out. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the old saying that April showers bring May flowers, that is 155% true in this region of the country. I
Yeah.
think this is we moved April 1st here 2 years ago, so this is our 3rd April in this location, and I think historically it's rained like at least 20 days out of the month, and I think we're probably on track for that again. It's been a little bit drier up until now, so it's like we kind of got spoiled as like
Mm.
having like a nice March, and it was like, oh, this is cool. And then now we've been inside for 4 days because it's nonstop thunderstorming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how it's been here. It's been storming here lately, and that's what amplifies the like having kids thing. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? When they're stuck inside, they've been spending a ton of time outside, which is awesome. But then when it's like raining and stuff, I guess you can send your kids outside. It's not like it's that cold, but they don't want to go out, and it's like so everybody's in. Your apart. You guys' place isn't real big.
No.
And our place isn't real big, and you're just on top of each other
Mhm.
24/7. And that's probably why I worked until 6 PM yesterday. I, like, worked all day.
I'll do whatever I gotta do to not go in the house.
I'm not going back inside. I'm not going back inside. Sorry, I'm working. I can't come help. So, I am definitely ready for the warmer weather, though, and some sunshine to get here, and, fall season, all the things.
Heck yeah, dude. And rodeo's about to get kicked off in a big way.
Ooh.
Big way. They've got this month is pretty chill. They're going to Cali a couple times, coming back, but Reno is not far off now.
Mm-mm.
What are we, a month? Just a little over a month from
A
Reno
little
kicking
a
off?
month and a half. Yeah, a month and a half.
Yeah.
It starts, like, second week of June or something like
Yep.
that, so it's right
And
around the college finals.
yeah. Oh, speaking of college finals, shout out to all of these, dude. We had a lot of athletes throughout all of our coaches that ended up qualifying for their college national finals, and some guys that had come to our optimal performance academies qualified for I think the second time, which is awesome. Big shout out to all of you guys and girls that have qualified for the CNFR. That's a big accomplishment. That is, talk about a hard rodeo to win. That is probably the toughest rodeo to win in any event, because there are so many contestants, and the fact of the matter is, everything has to line up perfectly for you to
Yep.
get a crack at that national title. And so, everyone getting prepared, I would just make sure you're doing everything you can, but also your success isn't determined based off of winning that title always, right? Just always think about those things you can control, the things you can't. Like, sometimes in rodeo, it just doesn't go your way. So don't let,
Yeah.
The thought of not winning a national title, if this is you, be detrimental, because there's a lot of so many athletes that never even made the college finals or high school finals that sucked, and then all of a sudden figured it out and made multiple NFRs, won a world title. Like, I just think at that age, it's easy to get wrapped up in that, and all the pressure,
Of
and
course it is. Yeah.
making it and thinking like, oh, I got to go win this national title, and it's a make or break in my career. And at the end of the day, it
Yeah,
just
all
isn't.
those
It's
youth
cool, though.
finals are that way.
Mhm.
All
It's
of them. You
wild.
know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
junior high finals, the high school finals, the college finals, they're all a huge drawing contest. What makes the college finals a little bit of a different creature is that so many guys that are there actually do ride pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
at the high school finals, there's 5 or 6 guys that probably could be national champions, at least in the rough stock events, right? As far as their level of riding. At the college finals, there's much more than that. And so it makes it, but I can remember my senior year standing on the back of the buck and shoots on the platforms behind the buck and shoots in Casper. If you've been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm standing there next to Taylor Price, and we're watching 7 or 8 humpties that made the short round because they drew the good ones, like, hang on the side and whiff the neck. And we were both like just kicking rocks. We're like, we should be in that short round. And and we were all upset. That was the second week of June. Third week of July, he wins Cheyenne.
Yeah.
Let me tell you,
Exactly.
the college finals is not a predictor, or the high school finals a predictor of future success. It's just one of those milestones that's great to be able to say, hey, I went and did it. And that's not taking anything away from the guys that win the nation
No.
there. That's a great accomplishment, and that's awesome. But what that says is that you do ride really well, and you also drew really good. That's what that says. So, and there's only going to be one of them. And there's a lot of guys that win the college finals that go on to have great careers in professional rodeo. There's probably 3 times more that have horrible college careers and go on to have great careers in professional rodeo. So
Mhm.
it's definitely not a make or break kind of thing, like Doug said.
Yeah, but still a cool accomplishment. So big shout out to y'all for making it. It's a hard thing to make too. The whole deal is tough. So big shout out to all you guys and girls that have qualified, and good luck to you. Make sure you're preparing. And if you're not, check out our app. Hit us up for individualized training. The app is free to download, Champion Living Fitness app. Check it out on Google Play Store, Apple App Store. We're releasing some new programs this week, so be sure to check those all out. And then if you're interested in individualized coaching, swing over to our website, www.championlivingfitness.com. Click the Become an Athlete form. It's free. to set up a consultation with one of us. You can, if you have a coach in mind you've been wanting to talk to, you can select them on the sign up form. So you actually get a call with them and get all your questions answered. Make sure we're, preparing you with the correct coach and setting you up the best we can for success. But it costs nothing to get your questions answered. So if you're out there wondering, stop wondering and start asking. That's what we're here for. Here's the deal. Lots of rodeo gear companies are coming out, but not all are equal. Beastmaster is really setting the bar when it comes to the equipment that is built for durability and designed for success in the arena. You guys can check them out at beastmasterrodeo.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving24. That's ChampionLiving24. Going to save you a little bit at checkout. We're always looking for a quality protein source. That is why I look to Colorado Craft Beef. I'm no longer going to the store. I am putting in my order, and they are shipping it directly to my house. Some of the things I love about Colorado Craft Beef are the incredible beef sticks, on-the-go options that you can take with you, packed with protein, and the best source you can get. Again, check them out at coloradocraftbeef.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word. Going to save you some money on that next beef order. Today, we're going to get into, this is a kind of a unique topic that we haven't ever talked about before, but I've had a couple people reach out to me in the last few months about it, and then obviously, I think a couple of you guys have as well, since that's why we're talking about it. But this fear of getting hurt while you're training, like working out hurting you. You've heard a lot of times like this is the best, and I kind of agree, but I'm gonna explain.
I think I know where you're going with this.
CrossFit? Is that what you're gonna? That's where I'm going. Like if you do CrossFit, don't do it. It's bad. It'll hurt you. We hear that all the time, and especially people talking about rodeo athletes, telling them not to do CrossFit because of the volume, the potential injuries that can happen in the gym will only hold you back in the arena, is essentially what I've heard from a lot of people, right? And what the deal is any kind of exercise could be potentially dangerous if not approached correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of these types of exercise, forms of exercise, got their name and are there because in the beginning, at the very original base, the very theory and foundation of them, they worked, right? And what happens is we start seeing, what's the word I'm looking for? Exaggerations, but people adding on to that, or their different forms or variations of that theory come to light. And those are not necessarily going to be good for the body and for everything like that. But at the very base of it, any kind of exercise, if approached correctly and taught correctly, and the person doing it is, going into it with confidence, there's a lot of things that have to come together to make you get over this fear of getting hurt in the gym. Because yes, it is a possibility. Is it a big percentage is it likely to happen to you? Probably not if you're approaching it correctly. So today, that was a really long-winded, confusing way of what I'm about to say. We're gonna try and break through this fear of getting hurt in the gym. Why people feel that way as coaches, how we work with our clients on that, if that is something they're dealing with, or what you would say to a potential client that's having this fear, and some steps that you guys can put into action to.
Yeah, I think to kind of sum up your intro there, like all exercises. There we go. All exercises are safe within the right context.
Yes.
All exercises are dangerous within the wrong context, or like if they're performed incorrectly or they're set in the wrong context. An example of that would be, I saw a video on box jumps the other day on social media. Box jumps are an exercise I use all the time. I program them all the time. I use them myself. I've never been hurt. I've never had a client hurt. There's tons of videos on the internet of people getting hurt doing box jumps. If you take the context clues and look around them and see the setting that they're in, or the type of person that is performing them, or the type of person that is telling them to perform them, you quickly realize why those people got hurt. Like, they were doing an exercise either in the wrong context. Maybe they normally would be able to do a regular box jump, but when they're completely obliterated from the rest of the entire workout and their box jumps are at the very end, not a good place for it.
Mm.
Uh, or even some of those videos, like the people performing them were just not ready to do them.
That's
Yeah.
And
and that's yeah, that's the other thing about context. You're 100% correct, but also the context has to do with the individual, and the
right.
individual's all exercises are healthy for one that is prepared for those exercises, right? That's
Hmm.
been progressively overloading. All exercises are dangerous for the one that is not equipped for those exercises. And so you see a lot of like rounding back, and there are actually people that say like, hey, if you train, if you work and progressively train loaded life, we use a rounded back. And so they can do these Jefferson curls or these things in which
Oh
their
yeah.
back is very rounded, and they can lift heavy weight there, and they're maybe more resilient than somebody that can't. But those exercises are fine for them. I can tell you, if I stood up on a box and put 135 pounds on a barbell and tried to bend all the way over and get as low as I possibly could and have my back rounded, I'm probably going to get hurt because I haven't trained that way, right? I'm
Hmm.
not. So the other part of the context is that
Yeah.
it's about the individual.
No, yeah, that's a really good point too, because I did this on purpose the other day. I was doing some deadlifts and I wanted to have more spine flexion.
Yep.
And so usually I'm very, very straight backed when I deadlift because of Olympic lifting. So like, I
Mm,
try to I try to train for the thing that I'm training for. But I wanted to see if like I could increase my numbers. I have a very strong low back, I would say, relatively to the rest of my body. So I was like, oh, I bet I can deadlift more if I actually use more of my back. Um, and I did, and I was sore for days after
mm,
that.
yep.
For days. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, deconditioned from that specific position.
Yeah.
Let's not do that again.
Yeah, and maybe start lighter
Yeah,
on that
start
thing,
lighter,
like
not go on with my max
yeah,
deadlifts.
like exactly. Yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna pull this with a rounded back. Never done it before. Yeah, it felt
Yeah,
pretty
let's
good. Next day, you're like, what did I do?
ow.
What is
Yeah,
going on here?
but that's a really good point to bring up. Is you can prepare yourself for anything. So
Mm,
you see a lot of these people doing these kinds of movements, and I was one of them when I had my spine fusion, man. Like I can't pull a deadlift any other way but flat backed. But
mm,
Mhm,
I can do a lot of other accessory movements like single leg RDL or crossbody RDL
mhm,
where I am putting my spine in that flexion and a lot of times in different planes of movement than I would normally in
mhm,
just that normal deadlift, which is preparing my body to be strong in those positions. But when I started with nothing, with body
mm,
weight and just
yep.
moving my body and controlling it and activating those muscles in that plane of motion I've never done. I was sore too, but slowly I was able to move up the resistance. So, you know, when we start thinking about the fear of getting hurt, I think the first thing we have to think about is the the individual, and that if you're doing this by yourself, you need to think about yourself. Where are you right now? Not
Mm,
mhm,
what did you do in high school, not what did you do 18 years ago, not even 2 years ago. Where are you right now? Because that matters. All your past experiences, yes, those will help you as you continue this new journey or start it, but if we go back to where where we left off in high school and we've, had 18 years of life since then, we're setting ourselves up for injury or getting hurt, right? So to overcome that fear, I think number 1 is just be real with yourself about where you are and
mm.
be very, very persistent about mastering those fundamentals and the foundation of where you started right now and then moving on. There's levels to this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think that that's probably where some of the origins of this idea of getting hurt training come from is from that guy that hasn't been in the gym for 20 years but used to do all the things,
When he
jumps
jumped
right
in.
back in. And so that's where and then he tells his friend that he got hurt deadlifting, who tells a friend, who tells a friend, who and there's been enough people that have been hurt deadlifting that all tell 3 people, and next thing you know our whole culture thinks that deadlifting is bad for your back.
Yep.
And it's really just because it wasn't performed correctly by those people. And so as we think about where the individual is and learn, and the other thing about the basis of that is how many rodeo guys have you heard of? I've heard of 3 off the top of my head that I know that are very influential within the world of professional rodeo bull riding specifically, that said that they lifted weights and they got hurt.
Mhm.
They Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Oh,
mhm.
well, you get, big muscles are tight, and so
No.
tight muscles tear. And so that's another way in which I think this origin comes along of like, oh, you're going to hurt yourself as a rodeo athlete if you lift weights because so and so said it, because
The
they went to the
telephone
gym
game,
4
pretty
times.
much.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and they just so happened to have an injury after they went to the gym 4 times. Like,
Yeah.
that's it's not related, big dog.
Yep.
No.
Well,
And the thing,
and that
go ahead.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, like the trickle down from that too is then like they some guys will understand that they do need to lift weights, but they don't want to quote unquote lift heavy because they don't want to hurt themselves or they don't want to get big. So what do? They can do high repetitions of lighter weights, and you guys all know what the formula is for that. Like we're building muscle at that
Yep.
point. Like we're
Hypertrophy.
growing. If our diet is on par, or it doesn't even have to be on par. It just has to be you eating
we're
more
getting
calories than what
yoked.
you're than what you're burning.
Yeah.
And you're doing light weights for high reps. You're gonna build some muscle, my friend.
Yep.
So you're actually doing the exact opposite of what you said you wanted to do, by trying to avoid some fake.
That's the hardest
don't
part
know.
of this
Like
whole thing, man,
concept of injury.
is everyone thinks they know what they're doing. And you aren't going to get sick or break your leg and reset it yourself and do, right? You're going to go to a doctor and get a professional to do it because it will affect your quality of life after. This doesn't seem that drastic, but like repetition over years of doing those things inappropriately can really mess you up and really hold you back from getting anywhere close to what you thought you wanted to do on your goals. Not to mention, like, those people, especially rodeo athletes, have that tendency to go ham. I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on a little bit tangent here, but if you're doing your own training and things aren't working, your natural inclination is to go harder and do more. If you go harder and do more for year after year after year, and you are not appropriately fueling yourself, not because you don't want to, but because you simply don't know because you're not a professional, well, now we've entered this whole big shit show of OTS, overtraining syndrome. And not only is your muscles not going to react the way you are, your hormones are out of whack, and the time that it takes to reverse all that is not going to be something that you like. It takes a long time to reverse that kind of stuff. So, and again, that's a very extreme spectrum thing, but I've seen it in CrossFit athletes and I see it in rodeo athletes all the time because we're just naturally wired to go ham. And so getting a professional, if you don't know, is going to be the number one way to get over this fear. Like, you're scared because you don't know.
Yeah.
Get someone that knows so they can help you.
Yeah, we correlate experience with competency, right?
Yes.
And so many people have experience in the weight room, and therefore that qualifies them to know what's best for them. And while I'm not hating on people that like to write their own programs, I like to do my own stuff for a while, but I have got the education that goes with it, right? And so the understanding of the human body, and when people are like, well, I if I eat too much, or if I lift heavy, I get big. I've heard that from countless guys, like you said earlier. And we know for a fact that simply lifting heavy in and of itself is not enough for you to get big, no matter what your body. Sure, some people are more adept to adding muscle than others, but no matter what, lifting heavy alone is not enough for you to. But we just assume that, well, we've got some experience. And I was guilty of that when I was a rodeo coach. I was putting guys through workouts. I had workouts at my house every morning. I was training myself. I was still competing, and I was looked at. They would ask me training questions that I had absolutely no place answering. But because I was the one that wrote the workouts, I was the one who, was answering questions. And sometimes I worry about the handful of people that I probably sent in the wrong direction. You know what I'm saying? I said, hey, go, the gold's over here. It wasn't over there, right? The gold was definitely in this direction.
Yeah,
but I
my
pushed them
bad.
there because I didn't know, but I had experience. So I assumed that was competency.
Nope.
That is money, dude. Like, that situation that happens in fitness every day. And it's because fitness isn't looked at, again, as importantly as your physical health, right? It is one of those things that you can kind of figure your way through it and develop an aesthetically pleasing body, or be a really, really naturally talented athlete at what you do and be really mediocre at your strength and conditioning and still be good at your sport. And we see that all the time in rodeo. these guys and girls that are so talented at what they do that no matter what they did for training, they're still going to be talented. And so they have that reach. People are looking at what they do. He's good. She's good. I'm going to do what they're doing. And what they're doing might be total bullshit. And you're just going off of, well, it made them good, so it's got to help me. And that's just not how this works. You know, we've
It's
talked
the
about
blind
that
leading
so
the
many
blind.
times.
It's the blind. It's
1000%.
literally the blind leading the blind, and we just fall
1000.
into that cycle. And I think the
Yep.
biggest thing that happens when people don't understand, as you move forward, like some of the issues with being afraid of lifting heavy for injury, is that you don't challenge yourself. You're not challenging your central nervous system. We're not going to be progressively overloading the weight. You're going to do your back squat with the same weight that you have for the last 6 months. And unfortunately, because of what we know about the central nervous system and the body, the way it responds to stress, that means that progress is going to stop. So
Yep.
unless you're changing something, there's variables there that can be changed, multiple variables that can be changed. But unless you're changing something, you will not continue to see results. And so then you've got to start getting over that. Like Doug said, hiring a coach is one way to make sure that our form is on point, right? Because if our form is not, if it's breaking down, we're definitely going to run into injury issues potentially as we get heavier. And then we're definitely not going to see progress without somebody
Right.
encouraging us, pushing us, making sure that we're challenging ourselves. I have to do that with clients all the time. I pay attention to weights and I see that they use 225 for, 8 reps or 6 reps on their back squat for a month. I'm going to be like, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, RPE, how difficult are those? Oh, they're probably like a 6. I'm like, okay, well, it's been 4 weeks. Like, we can go up 10 or 15 pounds. Like, you can add a little bit, but you got to continue to push yourself a
That's it
little
right
bit
there,
as long.
though. Like
Yep.
that, having that coach, even the starting point, you could tell them, like, this is where you start. You're taking them to do your
Yes.
evaluation. You know that they're not capable of doing a 1 rep max back squat. They can't even back squat at 1 rep with a barbell. Like, it's all
Yeah.
about where
Yeah.
you start. And having that
Yep.
coach is so important for that. If you are someone that is scared of getting hurt while you're lifting or working out, take that out. Take the fear out and get someone to help you. Again, even if it's not us, seek out the help so you can get better at this. And I like the work we were talking about, heavy, right? Like working up to a heavy rep. And I hate putting this in, especially rodeo athletes programs, just as a bland like note that says go heavy, because these guys are going to go way heavier than they should because it says heavy. So they're like, I got to go till I'm going to fucking die here. Like, I'm going to load 345 on the bar and I weigh 150 pounds. I can't even get the bar off without shitting myself. Like, I've seen it, not literally shit yourself, but you know what I mean? People going way too heavy. So yeah, well, that's for a different story. Different, but
Personal experience there.
but that happens all the time. So having a coach that can monitor that and tell you where to start, where you should be. Like, I had an athlete and I kicked myself in the ass this morning. I checked in and it's one of my top guys, but it makes sense because that's how he's wired. I said back squat. It was a box squat and it was 3 by 5. So 3 reps. And it by those last 2 sets, we should be heavy, but heavy for where you are and heavy for how the movement looks. Like, if the movement is shit, it's too heavy. Like, heavy means you're still moving perfectly. The tempo's perfect. You're exploding perfect. You're bracing your core perfect. The second that goes away, we're too heavy. So, like, heavy is all about it's a perspective. You got to wrap your head around, like, yes, it's not the
like,
end all be all of the
like
lift.
heavy for me and heavy for Instagram are like 2 very different things. Like, I watch guys on
exactly.
Instagram all the time and I'm like, I can't budge that weight, and but like I look up to them as, in whatever field they're in, whether they're professional athletes or
Dude,
just strength
straight
and
up,
conditioning
there
nuts or
is a
whatever.
12-year-old girl in China deadlifting than all of us combined right now. So
Oh,
we're
yeah.
all we're all weak. If you look at these powerlifting videos and stuff, man, like, it's all relative for where you are, what you do, what's your sport, like, what's your life like? Do you need to pick up 500 pounds on a regular day basis? No, then maybe the 500-pound deadlift isn't functional, isn't
But
what we need to do. Like,
so
relative
on
is
the
heavy's
opposite
relative.
side of where
Yeah.
we're at now, like on the opposite side of that, I run into almost equally as often, if not more, is where there's a lack of confidence in themselves, like what Logan was saying, like earlier, like that they do the same weight and they're like, oh, it was like a 6, and it's like, okay, well, we have to somehow build this confidence up to where you can actually express more weight, because you have the ability to now, and we have to we have to close that gap. So like we have to get to where we're training at least closer to failure than what we currently are. And yeah, that's probably comes up more often um in a lot of my stuff, especially because uh, of primarily having bull riders as clients. Don't like to lift. They don't like to lift heavy, and so like you almost have to help push them and build that confidence slowly up over time, and be like, hey, like okay, check in again. Like how hard was that one? No, next week let's add 5 pounds. How hard was it this time? And then like you have to kind of like continually keep your finger on the pulse of like where they're at. Um, Otherwise they'll, like Logan said, like they'll just do the same thing over and over and be like, oh, I feel like I'm not making progress. It's like, well, yeah, because you're not. You're
You're not
maintaining
changing anything.
at
Yeah.
best.
Yeah. And
Yep.
that's, man, that's, again, like you said, very, very common in this world, because especially bull riders have this fear of getting too big or getting hurt while they're lifting. And the cool thing about increasing weight, changing the stimulus, is you could literally add 2 pounds and you've changed the stimulus. Like 2 pounds each week is not going to be changing it. They run into that fear, I think, because they add a good amount of weight the next set and they pick that thing up and they're like, holy smokes, that was way heavier than before. It's like, yeah, dude,
Yeah.
I only put 15s on each side. Well, that's 30 extra pounds, guys. We start doing a
Yeah.
single leg RDL or something, anything like 30 extra pounds that's a
Yep.
lot of weight. So when you start talking about progressive overload and adding weight each week, don't feel like you have to go add these massive amounts of weight. Add 2.5 pounds by the last set. Add 5 pounds by the last set, and then go from there. Over an 8-week program, you've added 40 pounds, and you haven't like slapped your CNS in the face and been like, oh my God, and you've gotten really sore, right? It's been this gradual build where you could adapt and get better and stronger, and all of a sudden, 8 weeks later, it's like, holy smokes, I just hit that
Yep.
for 40 pounds heavier, and I feel great, There's a way to
Yeah.
do it. There's definitely,
Yeah, there is a way to do it. And it's
yeah.
it's made even more challenging because so many of the guys that we're walking through this with are new clients, and they're relatively new to resistance training. And so we get what we call these newbie gains. So at the beginning, their first, 6-8 weeks of training, if their form is on point and they're going to progress really quickly.
Yeah,
They're going to add
yes.
a lot of extra, that 40, 50 pounds on a back squat or something of that nature over the course of 2 or 3 months. But when you get to the spot where you've been training as long as Doug has, or I have, or Paul, Tyler, any of our coaches, you get to the spot where you've been training for a while. In 8 weeks, I'm not going up 50 pounds on any of my lifts. You know what I'm saying? Unless I start a new stimulus. I start something that and when I start a new stimulus, yesterday I did rear foot elevated split squats. I haven't done those in months.
You are going to
So
be
like,
so sore tomorrow.
well, I'm definitely sore. Yeah, for sure. That was what we were talking about that with Lacey this morning. But yes, I'm sore today, but I had to work my way up, and my weights, and those are probably going to go up here pretty quickly. But your big lifts, the longer you've been training, the longer it takes for you to see for progress as far as the numbers are concerned. It's not going to be something that happens very quickly. And so when you're like, man, I should be doing more. I remember the last couple months I added all that weight and I should be able to continue doing that. It's going to plateau a little bit, and you're going to have to just add little by little. And that's how progress is going to be made, is by just like Doug said, whether it's, 2.5 pounds, 5 pounds, like just a little by little, you'll see progress.
Yeah. And dude, I haven't added a pound to any of my major lifts in 7 years. Like, I'm tapped. I will never lift as heavy as I did back then, right? Mostly because of the sport I was in. I was doing competitive CrossFit. That was kind of my job. But it's also not relative for me to have to do that in my life now, right? So my gauge of my strength, if I gauged everything off of my past numbers and what I did and what was heavy, I would die right now. Like, that would kill me. I used to be able to pull 525 for 5 reps. Like, I don't even think I could pick up 400 pounds for 1 rep now. Like, it's not, I don't train that way, right? But like, it's just my life's different. And so when my training is different, and so when we start talking about rodeo athletes, and you go to a CrossFit gym, let's say, like, it's your only option. You're a gun to your head, you got to go do a CrossFit workout, or I'm going to shoot you because you're not going to do it because it's going to hurt you, bull riding, right? It's like, okay, the workout has deadlifts in it and pull-ups and push-ups and I don't know, some kind of sit-ups or something, but it says heavy on the deadlifts. You do not have to go heavy like your competitive guy in CrossFit next to you that's doing 500 pounds. What is relative for you? Like 135 pounds tops. Like, you could get a ton out of 135 on a deadlift, right? But it's just, you can approach any workout if you put it into what is good, where you're at, how it's useful for you, and you're going to get something out of it. You got to take away that perspective of, it's also getting caught up in like the energy of a room too, or like what you think it should be as well. Like, it's hard to hold yourself back sometimes, but you've got to be, that's part of being a professional athlete, is gauging your intensity, gauging your output, and knowing when you, having the confidence to go hard on something, or, hey, this is really new to me, I'm still going to do it, and I'm still going to get something out of it, because again, it's something I don't do often, but I don't need to demonstrate a max effort of it.
Yeah.
That
I can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell when I walk in the gym and I pick up my first 45-pound plate. I can tell. And I'm like, whoo, I could throw that sunbuck across the room right now. Or it's like, why are they so heavy today? Oh my gosh, this sucker is heavy. And I can just tell. And so the central nervous system, it's not linear, right? Like, we're not always going to be the same. It depends on the stress that you've got going on in your life. And it depends on your sleep quality, your nutrition, the training that you've done in the days prior. There's so many variables in your central nervous system. It's going to fluctuate on where you're at. And so being able to, and that's why I think this idea of auto regulation, or being able to go in the gym and not have to go to the plan. Oh, this is the thing, I'm doing 5x5 today, and last week I did this weight. Well, maybe today it's going to be a little bit lighter because you're just not where you were last week. Central nerve, you're not going backwards. Everybody has those days. You're just gotta, you've got to be able to assess, like Doug said, and I think what sums it up really well is going all the way back to how Paul kind of introed the topic: context, individual. And I mean, for you, it's all about the context of not only you, but of the day, how you're feeling, where you're at, past experiences. All those things are really going to shape and mold what you're going to be able to accomplish in the gym on any one session.
Absolutely, man. Love that. And even on the opposite spectrum, not ever taking a break, right? Like, that would be more harmful to you than this. I don't know how to explain it. So when I don't work out, sometimes I feel like shit about myself, right? I'm like, I'm not missing out. I'm not getting something done for the day. And the last week and a half, honestly, I haven't felt like doing any kind of working out. And I realize it's because I've worked out the last 352 days this year, right? Like, I'm tired. Like, my body needs a break. And so I got out and went and did some things different with my fitness. Went out and hiked, went out and, went fishing, like walking up and down the riverbank, just doing stuff I haven't done in a long time. And it's totally rejuvenated my outlook on, fitness. It's like, cool, I needed that break. I needed a little bit of rejuvenation time, and my body hasn't felt this good in the gym in a minute, just because it needed a little break. So, like, we run into people that have the fear of getting hurt, but we also run into people that have zero fear and think that it is a make or break on their life day to day. And the truth is,
and those are the ones that get hurt.
Yeah.
And that's where the fear,
so
fear in other people comes from.
Yep, exactly. So constantly stressing that CNS, not allowing it to take in those adaptations and process it all, which is what happens with recovery and rest. Like, is just as harmful as like the fear of something you haven't like really experienced yet or something like that. Go ahead, Logan.
It's a little bit like a bucking horse, right? Like training a bucking horse. Like, if you bring up like a 2-year-old and you dummy bucket every day, until it's 3, how good of a bucking horse is that going to be, right?
Your
Like, what
best
do?
saddle horse.
You
Yeah,
dummy buck
that'll-
them. Yeah, you dummy buck it and you turn it out and let it think about it, or at least that's what my understanding is, right? Or training a horse for that matter. I mean, there has to be time for you have to put in that stimulus on training a horse. What is it that you're trying to get them to learn? And then they have to have time to think about it. You know, it's the same thing with your central nervous system. You input a little bit of stimulus and then you think about it. You let your central nervous system adapt and recover, and then you go back in. And deloads are a huge part of that. I took a whole week in Florida and I didn't work out, and exactly like you said, I felt horrible about myself. I was like, I'm falling behind. I'm not, even though I cognitively know that none of that is true, that's what we fight in our heads when we take a little break. And when I came back, since I've been back from Florida, numbers have gone up on everything, and I feel invincible in the gym. But I was getting to the spot where I was getting close to overtraining. I was sore. I was tired all the time. And now, like, man, just taking that break. So it's very, very important to let your central nervous system bounce back by taking a break every once in a while, for sure.
Absolutely, man. And anyone listening, I know this. I went all over the place today, so I apologize for for being a basket case there. But it's a lot. All of this can be a lot, and your job is not to be a professional at it. Your job is to do the work, like put in the work. But I would use professionals to help you here, guys and girls. You are spinning your wheels if you're not getting some actual professional guidance on your training here. The sport is evolving too quick. There are too many people that are utilizing us and other coaches. Like, you are falling behind if you're not getting ahead of this training. And if you're letting the fear of getting injured while you're in the gym be your only reason for not doing it, we got to change that. You got to change that mindset and start thinking about, how can I become more comfortable and confident with my training so I can be more comfortable and confident in the arena. Because without that work, it's never going to happen. So if that's you, hit us up. Again, swing by the website, click the Become an Athlete program or form, and set up your free consult. There'll be a link in the show notes here. You guys can go and click for our sign up form. But yeah, I'm glad we talked about this, because this isn't something that we've chatted about again. Like I said, I don't think ever on this podcast. So kind of a cool way to look at it, new way to look at it. And I know it's not a new issue that is coming up. I know there are a lot of people out there that think the possibility of an injury happening during training is so high that they decide not to do it because they think it's going to help them some way, shape, or form. But we know that's not the case. And like I said, anyone listening, if you have any questions, please reach out to any of us. Instagram, go to our website. You can shoot us an email there. We're happy to answer questions. Or if you have any kind of ideas for topics, for shows, things you want to hear about, that's why we do this. We want to help you guys as much as we can. Guys, until next time, we'll catch you later. Y'all, if you're having trouble sleeping or you've got really achy muscles, Power Pro CBD has teamed up with us to bring you their tinctures and their warming lotions. Guys, these have been a crucial part of my nightly routine. The tincture, take 2 full drops underneath the tongue right before bed, and my HRV and recovery scores have never been higher. And not to mention the warming cream, y'all. I swear by this stuff. It works immediately. 10 plus years of rodeo experience and working out for another 10 plus years pretty intensely. I come across some aches and pains. And so that warming lotion is my go-to to get rid of those and to get rid of it quickly. Y'all can check them out at PowerPro, PWRpro.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, to save you a good chunk at discount.